GameZone match. This is a wildcard match to determine who's going to face. I wasn't actually told who they could be facing, so this is a good start. But they'll be facing someone in the tournament. But I've got a great judging panel here with me. I've got Richard. Richard, how are you going?
Doing good. Excited for this, fantastic match. I'm going to do up, up, down, down, left, right for a cheat code to see how well I can speed up both competitors' performances. So let's see how that works out.
Up, up, down, down is a great YouTube channel. You should all go subscribe to it. So,
Already in.
And also, we've got Ryan Payne here. Ryan, how are you going?
I'm pretty good. I don't have any up, up, down, down cheat codes, but I got my Game Shark cartridge attachment, so I'm looking to easily jump past and, pretty much blueprint cheat my way through this game.
And two players looking to use their cheat codes to get into the tournament. Introducing first is James the Cleaner Spence. James, how are you feeling about the match?
I love how you talk about cheating and just I appear. Here's a fun fact, you guys. I am woefully ill prepared for this, but like in my movie Battlegrounds match against Brandon Hanna, it's not being prepared. It's about complaining until you get a win. So here we are.
And introducing second, it's Jacob E. West. Jacob, how are you feeling about the match today?
I am doing fantastic. I had a shot at this tournament, and I was kicked out due to technical issues. And then I got my golden ticket, throwing back to a Schmodown thing that's going on right now. I have a shot to redeem myself again. And not only do I get to redeem myself, I get to redeem a fallen brother by taking out the cleaner, James. So it's going to be a double victory for me, a win for me personally, and a win for the Viking Raiders. Let's do this.
But anyway, we're ready to start. We've got a great set of questions, and might as well talk about the rules because that's the important thing in all games. But basically, they'll get 4 prepared questions. It's the winner is the first to 3 points. If it's tied after the 4th question, then we've got a speed round. But regardless, they get 90 seconds for the opening, and they get 5 minutes for the main round and 1 minute for closing. And we're going to the first question, which is, what is the best NES game? And I'm going to start with Jacob for your opening.
So the question is the best SNES game, which is one of the best classic consoles out there. So you have to pick the best game for one of the best consoles. What embodies Nintendo? And I went with one of the best franchises in all of video game. I went with the game that is rated number 5 on IGN's top 100 games of all time, and then number 1 on most people's top 10 SNES games. So it's the obvious pick. James, just quit because you're not going to win this. I chose The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Stopping early, we'll see how that bold strategy pays off. And James, your 90 seconds will begin when you start talking.
Oh, yay, it's me time now. If you want to talk, so the SNES was a revolutionary console for RPGs. You had such games as Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, other ones that don't matter. But the one that truly is part of one of the greatest franchises of all time, featuring the most iconic video game character of all time, it is Super Mario RPG. It takes the character we are all familiar with and gives him a personality, rounds out the entire cast with Peach, Bowser, and new characters like Geno, who should be added to Smash, by the way, and the Frog, who no one cares about. But that's beside the point. You have an all-star cast of characters in a hilarious adventure with amazing gameplay that is truly unique for RPGs at the time. And let's face it, one of the best RPGs of all time. I can see the rest of my time.
We had there was definitely some great openings. Now we're going to the main rounds of the debate, and they get 5 minutes is on the clock. Time will begin when someone starts talking.
Okay, so let me point this thing out first. You picked Link to the Past, which is part of the Legend of Zelda franchise. There's a reason they needed to change the formula with Breath of the Wild. The gameplay gets repetitive. Every game is the exact same system with a couple new magical items, and that's all your game is. Sure, it's fun to play at the time. Over time, though, when you go back and play it, when you're of my generation, when you didn't grow up on it, when you play all these other games beforehand and you have to go back to the older console, it just feels stale.
That's 100% incorrect. Link to the Past, it's the best Legend of Zelda 2D game. Most people consider it the best Legend of Zelda game. They have it top 5, along with Ocarina of Time, along with Majora's Mask, Wind Waker. They have it up there. You know why? Because it does hold up. The graphics, this game came out in 92. This game is older than I am, and it looks better than I do. And I'm sexy.
There's a reason for that. The SNES itself is a great way of harboring great graphics. I can say the same thing for Super Mario RPG. It's in a 2.5D realm, and it still looks amazing. The character design is phenomenal. Each enemy and each main character provides a unique perspective on the Super Mario world that we're just not used to. Link to the Past, well, it wasn't even revolutionary. It used the same tropes from Legend of Zelda and Legend of Zelda 2, Link's Adventure, and then the other ones that came before it that I don't care about. And then the ones after it actually changed things. What's it called? Ocarina of Time brought it into the 3D realm. Majora's Mask revolutionized the storytelling of the game. And then you have Twilight Princess, which was a step up the genre. Link to the Past is a footnote in the franchise.
Okay, first off, you are 100% incorrect. Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past was one of the first ones to actually build upon Hyrule. You've never had that open of a world until Link to the Past. And on your pick, I love that you picked the best Mario game on the SNES. Oh, wait, no, you didn't. There was a Super Mario World, Super Mario World 2, Mario Kart, all much better than Mario RPG.
No.
You didn't even pick.
Mario
You
Kart
didn't
is
even
garbage.
pick.
You know that.
You did not even pick the best RPG. You even said Chrono Trigger, so much better. Earthbound, Final Fantasy VI, The Secret of Mana. Literally, the only reason why your game is good, they took a decent RPG and put Mario characters on top of it to make it stand out to people. If you look at it, play it again, your combat is horrible. You literally go from no damage to 10,000 in just a couple levels. It's not. It's horrible.
Here's the difference.
Go ahead.
I think the actual gameplay within Super Mario RPG is unique for the time because you have a timed battle system. I don't know the exact phrase for it, but where you have to press the button with each attack, it keeps the player engaged constantly. And again, what separates it from other RPGs of the time is the storytelling. And while you do have games like Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger, which have these very big and weighty stories, this one balances that with a terrific sense of humor that we see then elevated in the Paper Mario series. It was the beginning of a franchise that unfortunately couldn't finish itself, but evolved into one of the greatest RPG franchises of all time, save for the later games. Whereas again, I don't think Link to the Past holds up. I currently own an SNES Classic, and I've played both these games. It's the only reason why I have any weight in this argument. And truthfully, Link to the Past, I don't think holds a candle to Breath of the Wild, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword. Even the original Legend of Zelda, I think is more engaging. This one, the controller of the SNES does not work well in this environment. The magic system introduced in it and the items correlated to it, I don't think provide interesting gameplay. And
how does the controller not work? You literally go up, down, left, right, A, and B. Those are the only buttons you push and start to open up your menu. The controller is perfect for Link to the Past.
No, I think when you're in that open of a space, it would work best if you would have a control stick or a Joy-Con, or not Joy-Con, a joystick.
No, it's a 2D plane. The D-pad is perfectly fine. And again, you said it. Yours revolutionized RPG with great storytelling. No, Earthbound did that. Chrono Trigger did that. They also had a fantastic score. The score in Link to the Past, amazing too. The first Legend of Zelda have an actual dark theme. That wasn't Majora's Mask. It was revolutionary. The first Legend of Zelda.
The aspect. The dramatic storytelling, I will argue, is similar in other games, but the comedy is where it differentiates itself.
There's comedy in Earthbound too. You can't say yours is the most comedic game, because that's 100% false. Mine has the best theme.
Oh, that was definitely a battle that just about got really heated near the end there. It was pretty respectful for the most part. But we go into closings, and because Jacob went first on the opening, James, you're going to go first on the closing. And 1 minute will begin when you start talking.
A Link to the Past is a dated game. The controls aren't as fluid as they should be. The magic system is not engaging. The story is not engaging. The gameplay is not held up over time. It is a footnote in the Legend of Zelda franchise. Super Mario RPG is a game that was never replicated. It's one of a kind with unique storytelling of the time, great gameplay, great characters. The score in it is fantastic, and each area feels unique, and it builds on everything that's come before, and is a great stepping stone for the things that have come since. Link to the Past is only remembered because of the great console it is on. On its own, it is not a fantastic game and would be forgotten about if not for the fact it was on one of the greatest consoles of all time.
And Jacob, time to close out this, wrap it up into a nice bow. 1 minute is on the clock. Time begins to start.
Malcolm, can I go ahead and add my extra minute to this?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bury James early, so yeah.
2 minutes is on the clock, and time begins when you start talking.
Again, James, you cannot say your game is revolutionary. There are so many more RPGs that did exactly what your game did and better before. The only reason your game is so beloved is because it didn't get a sequel. And the reason they don't give it a sequel is because, first off, Square developed it. They don't have the rights to Mario anymore. And they know if they try to make another game, it's not going to last. It's not going to be as good as Mario RPG. The only reason Mario RPG is great is because of the nostalgia factor. You play it today, the controls do not sync well. The timed battle takes too long. Earthbound, Chrono Trigger had timed battles but made it fluid. You're saying my controls were horrible? Literally, you go forward, you go backward. You hit A to swing your sword, you hit B to use your item. How could you get better than that? That's the best controls in any game. Oh, because you have to have an analog stick to go diagonal? No, it's a 2D game. You can go forward, left, and right just perfectly fine. My game, super revolutionary, had great enemies. You don't remember the enemies in Legend of Zelda because they don't have any memorable ones. The ones they use are the ones used in every other game. Link to the Past had the same. Had the Octoroks, had the Moblins, but they also had the Knights. They had super difficult enemies. You start out raining. It's dark outside. You're scared. Like, what's going on? You find a basement and your uncle's there lying dead, and he's like, you need this. And he gives you a sword. You know shit's about to go down. It has some of the most memorable bosses. Moldorm, you freaking have to run around him to hit his tail, wait for him, hope he doesn't hit you and knock you off the stage, because then you have to go back up to fight him again. Aghanim, who you think is the head boss, you fight in the middle of the game and beat him. It's like, oh, sweet, I'm done.
Well, that was definitely some great closings there. So now we go into the judges. I've got my judges here now. There was some great battles. I just can't decide right now, so I'm going to go to Ryan first. Ryan, who should get the point?
First off, Jacob, you really shouldn't have used your extra minute there. I mean, I know he wanted to really sell and really, put this down, but I think strategy. I mean, personally, he already got the point in my mind, because throughout their little debate, Jacob was putting out more information about Legend of Zelda, about Link to the Past, why it was better than Super Mario RPG, and why I do like how James is really trying to, go in on Jacob, really strike at Jacob's game, in order to catch him off guard. But Jacob clearly fought back at him whenever James said, "Oh, it was dated." Jacob shot right back, saying that even though it might be of its time, it is still a game people go back on. I mean, just like a couple years past, we just had the SNES like brought back out, like resold in commercially, like the whole game system itself, and that is sold out within weeks before. I'm getting off track here. What I'm trying to say is that James was doing a good job throwing jabs at Jacob, but Jacob just kept hitting back at him every time. I wanted more from James on more details on Super Mario RPG, not just why there are some good characters, but go further in on certain characters that kind of makes it more memorable, certain levels of RPG that made it memorable to why I never got a sequel. From there, Jacob just got my point. That's it.
But there, yeah. So, and I'm gonna go next on this. And yeah, Jacob's gonna get my point as well. I heard a lot more from Jacob about why Link to the Past was a better one. I mean, nothing against James. Like, he did fight well. But I think I heard a lot more from Jacob, and as someone who has no idea what SNES is, or I've only heard about it in passing, I've never actually played any of those games. I was looking for who could sell me the most about which one is the better, and I got more from Jacob about that. So Jacob had struck first blood, but now we go into the second question, which is, what is the best Call of Duty game? And Jacob went first on the opening last round, so James is going to go first on this one. You've got a minute and a half on the clock, and time begins when you start talking.
Once again, we love to look at how a franchise develops over time. And Call of Duty is a franchise that recently, yes, it has gone down the hill severely. But there was a point before it hit that deep slope where it hit its apex, before everyone else failed to realize what this game did right. I, of course, am defending Black Ops 2 as the best Call of Duty game. Its meta was perfectly balanced. Its gameplay was refined and just pitch perfect. Its story, while not a focus, still delivered on a surprisingly good level. And its zombies gameplay was the best the franchise had ever seen, with both DLC from Black Ops and World at War, not to mention its own amazing maps. It is everything the franchise had before it and then some. It offers so much, and it keeps delivering on all the promises it makes. That is why it is the best Call of Duty game we have ever seen.
But Jacob, you've got a minute and a half on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
James, I love this argument because everything you say is exactly why mine's the best. I have the best story in my game. I have fantastic gameplay. And you know what? I have the best zombies mode. You know why mine's the best? 2 words. Fucking Nazis. Yeah, I'm talking about the one to bring the zombie mode to the world. Call of Duty World at War.
Both players finishing early with the openings. We'll see how that pays off. But you've got 5 minutes on the clock for the main round, and time begins when someone starts talking.
All right, James. It's my turn to talk. It's my turn to talk. You know, I love how you picked Black Ops 2. Not even the best Black Ops game. Black Ops is by far better than Black Ops 2. The great thing about World War II, it's not just another World War II army game, because there have been so many of those. They were able to transform it. Hey, we're not doing D-Day in the first mission like every single World War II video game has done before. No, your Americans are going to fight in Japan. The first opening scene, you are tied up, hands behind your back, and Japanese guy slits your partner's throat. Shit's about to hit the fan. And then also 2 campaigns going on. You're an American in Japan, and you're also a Russian taking back Eastern Europe. You want to talk about a memorable level? That last level where you're storming the Reichstag, Nazis all around you shooting at you, and then you climb up to the top of the church. Your partner cuts down that Nazi flag, and you raise up the Russian flag. Best line ever in a game. Gary Oldman, your partner, hands you the flag. No, this is your job. As you raise it up in victory because we beat the Nazis.
Okay, cool. But you're focusing on one issue. The story mode is the least interesting and most useless part of the Call of Duty series. We see it nowadays. The franchise just cuts out the story mode because no one cares about it. While you're defending its existence, it doesn't need to be there. It doesn't serve to enhance the gameplay at all. If anything, it detracts from it because it shows you how boring World War II was in terms of gameplay opportunities. You have, 6 guns? That does not provide for a unique gameplay experience. Black Ops 2 has about 5 guns in each of the 6 primary categories and 4 subcategories, on top of a wide range of primary and secondary grenades. The gameplay is what makes Black Ops 2 unique. World War at War is any generic World War II video game, and your idea that it's different because it doesn't open on Normandy doesn't make it good. It makes it somewhat smarter than the boring and geriatric ideas in other games where, let's draw from this one scene because people only remember it because of Saving Private Ryan, and let's put it everywhere. That's them being idiots. That's not your game being better.
Okay, so the reason I brought up story is because if you want to talk about gameplay, you know what every single Call of Duty game is? It's shooting. You know why a lot of people don't play the story? Because they're too busy getting killed by eight-year-old little punks on multiplayer. Multiplayer is fun for a little bit until you have a little noob come in and just wreck everyone. So the story, no one plays a lot of the story, and that's why Call of Duty hasn't been focusing on the story. That's another reason Call of Duty has been going down the toilet, because they haven't had a great story for when you're tired of getting killed, or hey, what if your internet's out? You still have to have a feature. And so that's one great thing about World at War. They brought the best feature to ever grace a Call of Duty game, zombies. They only had 4 maps while most everyone else has other maps, but you know what? Those 4 maps are perfect. Knockdown and Totten, the very first map ever, that music, you just realize, holy.
No.
Go ahead.
Toten is the worst zombies map by far because of how limited it is. The gun cabinet is horrible. And the possibility of getting to high round and challenging yourself is just not there. But it is still in Black Ops 2, as well as the 3 other maps from World at War, and the 6 maps in Black Ops. It has all of them, and then some. You have all of the maps you love to play, plus Black Ops, which you think is superior anyways, and Black Ops 2. You're supporting my argument. And on top of this, you're building up with the more amount of guns, the mystery box, the more amount of grenades, all these different gameplay opportunities. What keeps the game fresh and why you want to revisit it is the new opportunities. Knockdown and Toten in World at War is not different anytime you play because you always use the exact same strategy. And that's what World at War is. It's a game that you play over and over and over, and nothing changes. Black Ops 2 constantly evolves and changes itself over time with an evolving meta and DLC. World at War does not have any of that.
So if we want something different, why do they put as downloadable content the same maps that you played in the last previous games? Makes no sense. The best feature in any any Call of Duty game is the zombie mode. You're right, it is. And you know what? You're welcome, because World at War is the reason why we have zombies. And you know what? Nothing beats killing zombies except when they're fucking Nazis.
Time.
I think that was a good point to end it.
Yeah. Well, you didn't want to call me a bitch at the last second?
No, I said that for my intros.
Okay.
All right. That was definitely a great main round, and definitely a good quotable moment at the very end of it. So, there we go to the closings, and James went first on the opening. So, Jacob, you're going to go first on your closing. 1 minute is on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
You brought up the point that you have the mystery box, which is great. It's a great attribute, except it's in World at War. Literally everything they bring in later games is because of World at War. You know that time when you think of something and it completely just skips your mind? Anyways, World at War had a great campaign, superior than most any other Call of Duty games, to give you something else to do if you're tired of killing Nazis or killing zombies, because you're going to be killing Nazis in the game. Great voice acting. Gary Oldman was a Russian. Kiefer Sutherland was your American partner. Memorable quotes, memorable missions. I talked about the Reichstag. That's not even talking about the mission where you're in the Philippines taking over those German bases. What makes a Call of Duty game great is features. It has great multiplayer, it has zombies, and it has a great campaign. All features you have to have a complete game. Black Ops 2 does not.
James, you've got 1 minute on the clock. Time will begin when you start talking.
We're looking at this as a game. That's what this is, a game. And yes, you may think you have 1 point for the story, but I have 2 points in multiplayer and zombies. The 3 modes in the game, I beat you in 2 of them. The multiplayer, like you said, is constantly evolving, has a wide array of guns and equipment and kill streaks, which we forgot to mention, because they're great in Black Ops 2. You don't have any of that in World at War. It's a stale, repetitive gameplay loop. It's nothing. And the zombies mode, which just because you have great maps doesn't mean we don't. Because guess what? We do. We have your maps, and we have Black Ops, and we have Black Ops 2. Every game has an amazing set of maps. There's no denying that. And yours are great too, but I have them. You saying your maps are great does not change the fact that I have them too. My game is instantly better because I have your maps on top of my own, which are amazing, and Black Ops's, which are amazing. The gameplay in zombies is great at best in Black Ops 2 because of the vast array of opportunities you have to use. World War 2 is okay.
Those are definitely some fire closings, as what Caleb Curry would say. But we're going to bring in the judges. And Richard, because your vote didn't really matter last time, I'll get you to go first on this one.
I mean, this was a close match. My point is going to James. James brought up the fact that his game had Jacob's maps plus extra more. And though Jacob brought up the story mode, the fact James attacked Jacob on the story mode, saying that no one who plays the Call of Duty Black Ops games care about the story modes, and I didn't hear a defense from Jacob saying that they actually do, which then that was the major reason why I'm giving my point to James, because I had, in theory, no one cares about the story mode in Call of Duty. But if Jacob would have brought up some facts about people bringing reason why people love the story mode, then it might have been a different story. But my point is going to James.
Ryan, I'm going to go to you next. Ryan, where is your vote going? Why?
This really was close. I mean, ultimately, the argument really kept falling down to their Black Opses. Like, story mode, unfortunately, in my opinion, became kind of like a little linchpin, like a little weight on whose argument it would fare better on. Jacob definitely did have the more weighted argument on how his game had better story mode. He talks a good bit about the opening sequence. He does go into further detail about some of the voice acting talent involved, which is Gary Oldman. Although he didn't lean more onto it, because the Call of Duty franchise in the future has relied on more celebrity star power in their voice acting talents. I forget his name. He was the lead of Avatar. They also had Kit Harington, Kevin Spacey, Kiefer Sutherland, as they have talked. He also mentioned. If he had leaned a little more into it, because those celebrity voices do play more into the story mode, it definitely would have gave him the easy KO in my mind for this. But James, he kept going on the offensive every single time, not just on story mode. But yeah, he did mention some of the things that World of War had and started. His game not only had, but did better and perfected and kept changing over and over. Like, not changing, but yeah, evolving. Yeah, kept adding on to it, more downloadable content to make it better. And ultimately, Jacob, he didn't fight more on some of the mechanics. Actually, both men didn't talk a lot about the mechanics when it came to the shooting. But ultimately, in the end, I think James got it.
And with that, James does get the point. So it's all tied up. The next question is, who is the best character in Street Fighter? Jacob's going to go first on the opening. We've got 1 minute and a half. 90 seconds on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
As far as the best Street Fighter character, you have to think who's the most versatile, who can attack you long range and short range, and who can do the super rare KO you without you even touching them. And really, whenever you look at Street Fighter, say the best character, only one character comes to mind. James, you hit it perfect saying that Gino needs to be in Super Smash Bros. Well, guess what? My character, he is in Super Smash Bros. I am going with the best Street Fighter, Ryu.
That was a great opening from Jacob. Now we go over to James for Bill this time. And your 90 seconds is on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
Just like Call of Duty, I'm going to dominate you on all friends because you can pick your boring geriatric white boy of the month. Sure, and you can take him. But I'm giving you a character who is, in one game, the best game, Street Fighter 2. His name is Dhalsim. And you know why he's the best? Because he's literally the best. He is at the top of the tier list. He will beat every single fighter so easily. And Ryu, you're about 30 points down there, buddy, because you're not that great. And I mean, what's special about you? Just because you're the star doesn't mean you're the best. Luigi's better than Mario, so I don't see why Ryu is suddenly the best character. Honestly, I don't have anything against him other than, like, what's interesting about him? Dhalsim has a story behind him. He's fighting for his family, his tribe. He has to go against his own rules to fight in a tournament he doesn't even care about. And that's what makes him unique. He has a reason for fighting and not just, ooh, I'm buff, boom, boom, punch thing. You picked a boring character in a generic series. I picked the best character in a series because he stands out, because he's unique, special, and fights uniquely more than any other character at the time. You're nothing. Concede.
This match is going to have nothing but great quotes. Oof, oof, bang, punch things. But set the timer for 5 minutes. I almost accidentally set it for 5 hours. I don't think the apron would have
This is gonna get heated.
But 5 minutes is on the clock. Time begins when someone starts talking.
Your first point,
All
I got
right.
really quickly. You said, "Oh, Ryu can KO you without you touching them." Dhalsim's arms are literally boom, like a spring punch, like that Switch game I don't care about. He can literally punch you from across the room. He can kick you from across the room. He has a versatile set of options to keep you away from him. There's a reason he's at the top of the tier list in Street Fighter 2 and Super Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo and the 30 other fucking versions of that game. It's because he provides dominant gameplay from any distance, any range, any style. He can beat Ryu in a match any day.
The only list that Dhalsim is on top of is cheapest player. Yeah, he can attack you from far range because his stupid legs and arms stretch out faster than your mother. Like, what in the world? Who does that? Well, guess what? Ryu, when you think of Street Fighter, guess what? Hadouken! You know who that is? That's Ryu. That's a long-range attack. And you know what? If he gets close enough, he can do a hurricane kick. If you're doing your long punches, long kicks, I can jump up and then do a downside B to kick you in the face. You got nothing on that. Dhalsim is the
very clearly, because I'll feel your P brain really quick. Hadouken, whoa, and look at that back kick. Ooh, tornado kick, whoa, what's that? Back kick, and then hitting you far away. You cannot beat Dhalsim in a match. We're talking about best. Best means one word, who would win in a fight, and Dhalsim wins in a fight every single time.
Yeah, if you're my 8-year-old cousin, because I still don't talk to him. No, in an actual fight, Ryu is faster, Ryu is stronger. The only thing Dhalsim has on him is range because he can hide it in the corner like a little bitch and do his long kicks and long punches. Guess what? I'm doing punches. Yeah, I can do hand motions too. I'm going to jump and kick you in the face. You cannot block that. And once I get close enough...
Within the game, you don't have the capability of reaching Dhalsim. That's why he's a cheap character. And you may not like that, but he wins. He wins for a reason because he's a great character. And you say, oh, I can jump over it. No, you can't. Here's your jump range. Here's his attack range. You cannot get over him. There's a reason he's a cheap character.
Yeah, cheap does not mean best. Also, why I didn't bring up Blanca in this, because Blanca is so much better than Dalsum. I will agree. Dalsum is hard to beat the first couple times. Once you get it, he's no match. Again, my little cousin, he loves Dalsum because he's the cheapest motherfucker in the world. But you know what? As soon as we learn to beat him, he has nothing on us because Dalsum has 2 attacks, long punch and long kick.
He also has
Ryu,
his throw,
what?
His throw does like 50%.
Okay.
It's ridiculously strong.
Yeah. But you know what? I have the Hadouken, which I freaking love saying. I also have the Fire Hadouken, which is even stronger, and the Shinku Hadouken, which is even stronger than that. Those are 3 attacks right there, long range. I also have the Shoryuken, the Hurricane Kick, which guess what? I get super close to you. I do. You cannot move once I touch you, and I am taking you to the end, kicking you, taking damage out. Again,
so here's the issue with that is, like, once again, your boy is the Twitter white boy of the month. He is not special. If you played any other fighting game, you know how to beat Ryu because he is not special. Yes, he has a single projectile, which doesn't do a lot of damage. His tornado kick, great, but you're outranged. Once again, Ryu is a boring character who does not elevate the formula, so he's easy to beat. He's easy to counter. Most other characters have about 80% of Ryu. So if you can beat them, you can beat Ryu every single day. His characteristic is a weak-ass move, which is only cool because he says a funny phrase. In gameplay, it's garbage.
Hadouken! No, you say he's a boring player. You say he has no story. Guess what? The reason he goes into his tournament, it's not fighting for his family, but it's trying to take out his best friend because he is that
asshole.
No, it's because he's so competitive. You know what? I find that super relatable. I'm a very competitive guy. Like, I want to kick your ass. Nothing against you. It's just we're fighting. I want to take you down. Ryu, everyone can see themselves as Ryu because everyone likes to see themselves as the popular guy. When you think of Street Fighter, you think of Ryu. Ryu is an asshole.
Just because you want to identify with the most boring generic character in a franchise, good for you. Everyone wants to be Naruto or Ash Ketchum. But that doesn't make them a good character. What makes them a good character is domination both in the ring and story. We're talking about story. He's literally fighting for a whole village. Fuck your best friend. He's defending his country, his nation, his people. You don't have that.
Dalsum's only good in Street Fighter 2. Ryu is great in every game. Bitch.
Dalsum is only in Street Fighter 2.
False. No, he's not.
But
Screw it. No, Malcolm, we're doing 5 hours.
But anyway, that was a great main round. Still got the closings to go. And because Jacob went first on the opening, James will go first on the closing. 1 minute is on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
There you go. Once again, this is domination in every aspect. In the ring, Dalsum can kick your ass. In terms of story, Ryu is a punk, whiny little bitch who just wants to beat his best friend. Ooh, that's great to hear. Dalsum is defending his family, his friends, even the people he hates in his tribe, because he is aware of how much his people mean to the universe. You are arguing for a child who is competitive. We're all competitive. That's why we're here. And you still think you can beat me in the ring. Again, look at the tier list. I could show you proof. Dalsum is the top of every single tier list in Super Street Fighter 2. Ryu is at best A tier. When Dalsum is an S or an SS, I have facts against you, and I have story against you. You have no weight in this argument. # Ryu is an asshole. Concede.
And Jacob, 1 minute is on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
Going back to a point you said earlier, when I think of Street Fighter, I think of the story. Just like with Call of Duty, said no one ever. Street Fighter, you're fighting other people. And you know who's the best fighter? Ryu. Ryu is so good that Street Fighter was like, or Capcom was like, hey, let's make him more relatable. Let's make an exact copy of him and make him white, just like most of the world. Name Ken. He was that good. And also, who is the first Street Fighter character in Smash Bros? Ryu, because he is the most iconic. But not only that, he is the best. You have one game, Street Fighter 2. I have Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, Marvel vs. Capcom. Ooh, also Super Smash Bros. Ryu is one of the most versatile characters in all the game. Dalsum just hides in the corner like a little bitch and punches from super far away and kicks from super far away. Once you get past that, he is nothing. He cannot get you close range like anyone else can.
Those are definitely some great closings as I bring the judges in. But yeah, I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to give my point to Jacob. I think I heard a lot more about why Rio was the best. Was like Jacob brought up the fact that they've used Ryu in multiple games. And Dalsum's only been in the one. So it's definitely one that, like, for me, because I'm not too familiar with the games and how they pick people in there. Like, to me, it just seems like Ryu is the one that they keep putting in because he's the better one. But I'm not the only judge here. Richard, I'm going to go to you next. Who are you going to give your point to and why?
First of all, I think Dalsum was in another Street Fighter game other than Street Fighter 2. Pretty sure he was in some of the newer ones. I've won, but it doesn't matter. My point's also going to go to Jacob. I heard more about why Ryu was the better character. Where it came, he mentioned story, move varieties, the fact that Ryu's in multiple games, whereas he also brought the fact that Dalsum is kind of a cheap character. Then again, Jacob also picked the person who likes to probably spam Hadoukens over and over again, so he's a cheap character in itself. And I just didn't hear enough about James why Dalsum was better than Ryu, or what his story or what his movesets could possibly do. Though I am afraid for Jacob because he seems to have a feud against 8-year-olds. So my point is going to Jacob, though, regardless. I just heard more.
This is potentially going to be the final question, but we'll see if we go to a speed run. But this is a must-win for James to stay in it. And it's going to be, what is the worst comic book-based game? And because Jacob went first the last question, James will be going first on this one. And 90 seconds is on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
So, a little insight into my life. One of the things I think the worst thing anything could be, any piece of art, is being boring. Something that has no reason for existing. And when it comes into existence, it is just gone. No one cares about it. And thousands of hours are just wasted. And you know what that happened with? Thor, God of Thunder. The movie tie-in game to 2011's Thor, which is probably one of the worst MCU movies, let's be fair here. And turning one of the worst MCU movies into a video game shouldn't be that great, but The Incredible Hulk turned out pretty good. So they're like, hey, maybe Thor can do something. No, it's shovelware. With a horrible progression system, the skill tree is just obnoxiously bad. And the character doesn't have anything. The animation is garbage. Literally nothing in it is special. And it's not even funny bad. It's just forgotten. Like, hey, let's be honest, people. What's worse, The Room or any bad movie you've seen in theaters? The Room you can have fun with. This is just some boring, forgettable project that a lot of people wasted time on, and their time is just gone into the abyss. Nothing. And like nothing, that is the rest of my time gone.
Jacob, it's down for time for your opening. Time begins when you start talking.
You may be thinking, Jacob, why are you so mad? All of a sudden, you're really a nice guy. And the answer to the question is because I had to watch a couple Watch Mojo movies in order to prepare for this fight, and that just took all the kindness out of me, and I'm just pissed off now. And actually, one of the ones that I watched was for this. Because, when I think of worst comic book game, I also think of the worst video game ever made. And it's not the worst video game ever made, because that title goes to E.T. the Extraterrestrial, but it's a close second, and it just so happens to be a comic book game. This game is so bad that the actual box art, they don't have the title on it because the developers didn't want people to know what it was. This game is obviously the super outraging, horrible game known as Superman 64.
Right. There's definitely some great openings there. We go into the main round. 5 minutes is on the clock. Time begins when you start. Someone starts talking.
James, you know what's worse than forgettable? Being so terrible, so horrendous that you can't purge that experience out of your mind. People say the worst movie is the Super Mario Bros. Movie. It's just so awful. You can't forget it.
Who says that?
A lot of people. Oh, you actually like the Super Mario movie? Oh, that explains so much.
Oh, no, I don't know who thinks that's the worst thing ever made, unless you're a whiny little fanboy.
Okay, whatever you say. No, this game was so bad you could not forget it. Literally, when you said your pick, I was like, Thor: God of Thunder. I know that. Why do I know that? I can't think of it, though. I own it. I've played it. But I forgot about it. It was a waste of money, I'll be honest. Because it was not good.
You just validated my arguments. You forgot about it. Superman 64 is truly unforgettable. And yes, it's because it's bad. But isn't that why it's entertaining? Haven't you wasted a couple hours of your life watching YouTubers play the game and laughing at their pain? Isn't that a good reason for existing? Rather than, again, people spent money on Thor: God of Thunder. You did, and you regret your decision. You had to watch other people play Superman 64. Watch others have the pain. We all bought Thor: God of Thunder thinking, oh, Incredible Hulk was good. Maybe this can be too. And it wasn't. You wasted your time on a nothing game. You wasted your money on a nothing game. Superman 64, no one bought because it sucked. And that's fine. We all know it sucks. But watching other people play it, isn't that just sixth sense of satisfaction just pleasing?
No. If you played Superman 64 and you're watching someone else play, you feel that pain of, hey, Superman, Lex Luthor kidnapped Lois Lane. You have 1 minute to fly through these 20 rings and save her. The controls are awful. You literally go through a ring and it shoots you. You have to turn around. There are so many glitches. It is a horrible game. Thor: God of Thunder didn't have great controls, but it was never bad. You want to know what made it, what kept it from not being bad? It didn't have flying. You think, Thor, the God of Thunder, who can fly, why can't my video game have him fly? They knew that with Superman that he could fly, and you know what? They did a horrible job at execution. That game is trash. It should have been thrown in a landfill. You cannot tell me that no one bought that game. This was at a time before the internet came out, so there were no reviews. Everyone was buying Superman 64.
No. Okay, no, that's an outright falsity. Because you still had magazines, you had outlets, you had TV, you had people reviewing these games, and you can check your stats. I know you love those so much. Superman 64 did not sell. Its existence was a painful one, yes, but not everyone experienced it. The reason we actually see it talked about nowadays is because of the internet, because people play it and watching them in the pain makes us feel good. No one remembers Thor: God of Thunder. No one cares about Thor: God of Thunder because it is bad, but its biggest sin is that it's forgettable. And that's what my argument is today, is that the fact that, no, like the worst game, sure. But the worst thing about a game is that it has no reason to exist, like any piece of art.
See, Thor: God of Thunder was at a time where Marvel was just trying to do as many cash grabs as they could. There were so many video games coming out right along with their movie. There was the Incredible Hulk, which I don't know if you remember playing, but it was trash. Iron Man 2, Thor. There was an Avengers video game. They all were not that good. Thankfully, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe and not the Marvel Video Game Universe because they were all bad. No, Superman 64 almost killed superhero gaming. It came out in 1999. You know what the next superhero video game to come out was? It was Spider-Man in 2002. 3 years of no super. Yeah, 3 years of no superhero video games. They thought superhero video games were gone because of how awful Superman 64 was. And I know you're going to say
Batman and Robin and Batman Begins. Just because superhero movies weren't coming out does not mean superhero games were at any fault of that. It didn't come out because there's no source material to go off of.
Okay, Richard, thank you so much because he can fact check that Superman sold. It wasn't great by any means, but it sold. And I know you're going to say, hey, Superman 64 didn't have great graphics, bad controls. Well, it came out in 1999. That was back when we didn't really have all the technology to come out with. Okay, you can say that. Well, you know what came out 1 year before in 1998? The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, one of the best video games ever that has great graphics, great controls, no flying. Okay, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because flying hadn't been mastered. Well, let's go a year before.
She was swimming in Legend of Zelda. The four-dimensional space in a two-dimensional space or whatever.
Okay, Daddy's talking. Shut up. Let's go a year before that, 1997. You know what game came out in 1997? Star Fox 64.
Can we just put he called himself Daddy? Like, are we going to focus on that at all?
No. But we now go into the closings. 1 minute is on the clock. Your closing begins when you start talking.
Like I was about to say before Malcolm rudely interrupted me saying time. Come on, Malcolm, what in the world? 1997, Star Fox 64 came out. Star Fox 64 was a game about airplanes shooting each other in space. It's flying. Great graphics, great controls. They obviously had the technology to make a good flying game, and they did not. Thor: God of Thunder is forgettable. That doesn't always mean bad. You know how many great games are out there that are forgettable? Actually, a lot. Just because of the time it came out, everyone was coming up with video games. Video games were the best thing out there in 2008 to 2012. That was like the best selling ever. There were hundreds, thousands of games coming out. It's not Marvel's fault that Thor: God of Thunder came out along with like 28 other games, and it just scooted underneath because not a lot of people liked the movie as much. No, Superman 64 came out at a time where, yes, there were magazine reviews that came out after the game's actually released.
And James, time begins when you start talking. You got 1 minute.
I'll be using my extra minute because I can, and I'm probably going to lose this anyways.
Got 2 minutes on the clock, and time begins when you start talking.
More time for my face. Hello, everybody. People, let me appeal to your heart, your emotion. What would you rather be? A bad person who is remembered and some people may like? Or would you rather be someone who's just forgotten about? Have a death like Coco where the second you die, you're gone. No one cares about you. That's what Thor: God of Thunder is. And little Jacob Daddy West conferred with me. He's, Iron Man 2, for Captain America, the Avengers. All the same exact game with slightly different characters, but the same gameplay. The same tree of whatever the term is, the skill tree. It's nothing. Thor: God of Thunder is a nothing game. Superman 64 would have been forgotten about had it not lived on through the internet. It had a new life. You took this rancid, disgusting zombie and you brought it back for our joy. The joy of watching people like Proton John or Joe something or other. I forgot his name. He's annoying anyways. Angry Joe. There you go. We enjoy watching them in pain playing this game. Thor: God of Thunder should not exist. And the sad fact is that it does. Because it just exists in a languid... Oh, what's the name of the place? Whatever. It sits in a realm between life and death where absolutely nothing happens. I'm gonna get all inspirational on you guys here. Just think about the fact that imagine this was your life and you are sitting there useless. Wouldn't you rather be remembered for the people you made laugh than being useless, forgotten, nothing? I'll let you think on that, and I'll concede the rest of my time.
But now time to get to the judging. I'm going to start with Richard. You can go first on this one.
All right. Well, first of all, this is actually closer than both these comparisons even might think. James brought up the fact that, like, playing Superman 64, like, watching other people play was more in the entertainment value, whereas Jacob brought up the fact that just because Thor, the God of Thunder, is forgotten doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad game. But ultimately, my point is going to Jacob, because I've heard more reasons why his game was more terrible than James. For James, like, he just said for his video game the story and characters are bad. He didn't give like more of a detailed reason why his game was worse than Superman 64. So my point is going to Jacob.
And I'm going to go to Ryan. Ryan, who does your point go to and why?
The devil is in the details. Not alone, Jacob got the point. James, you really did good. You were fighting hard on this. I mean, I do enjoy the fact that that is a good point he didn't make, that there are people on YouTube, there are gamers on YouTube who have played Superman 64, and it has been, and through most videos, I mean, there are definitely a lot of them listed off. Like you talk about Angry Joe. There's also the Angry Video Game Nerd, just to name a few off of who have played Superman 64, talked about in their own minds of how bad this game was, where it does bring a mixture of it's entertaining and funny to watch, but at the same time, if you did play this game like I did in the past when I was a big fan of the N64, you also remember that it's bringing up terrible memories because of how bad it was. And if James really did bring more information on about the gameplay of Thor, what was off about it, what made it so bad. He didn't mention the fact that it had the cast talents of Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, and Jamie Alexander, those characters in that movie. Like I'm just saying, the devil is in the details, and Jacob came here to put every detail to work, and it's because he put every detail. He crossed those T's and dotted those I's. That's why he gets the point.
And your winner with a score of 3 is Jacob. As I bring in everyone back on screen here, Jacob, I'll go to James first. James, you didn't quite manage to pull it off today. How do you feel about how it went?
Again, I came in woefully ill-prepared. I had no idea what I was fighting because games, not my thing right now. If you couldn't tell from my choices, I'm a little behind. But it's not a big deal because he took an easy win on that last question. Once I get a better game, better day, better questions, I will come for you, Jacob, and I will kick your ass quite easily.
But Jacob, how do you feel about your win today?
Did anyone else hear that just obnoxious chatter going on? What in the world? No, this was a ton of fun. This was my second debate ever. My first one was up against Cody, so I immediately knew I was not going to win that. And so this is my first win in video games, which I'm not a huge gamer. I'm casual because I have a wife and 3 kids and can't spend all the money I want on video games. I wish I could, but I can't. All I know is I had a shot at this title, and I got kicked out because I'd never got the invite to the chat. But I have my second chance, and I'm coming for that belt.
But yeah, that's the thing. The days of Google Hangouts not sending invites are over. The days of StreamYard are here. So,
Let's hope it stays.
But I'm pretty sure, and some will probably correct me if I'm wrong, when they edit this, but I'm pretty sure you go up against Matt next in tournament. But how are you feeling about going up against Matt?
Matt is a interesting person because he will tell everyone that he is horrible at debating, and I've been able to judge a couple of his matches, and he's actually really good. Ryan has played him twice now, so he can tell you Matt is a good debater. So I am definitely looking forward to this challenge, but I'm coming for that belt.
Just make sure you keep those details on lock, man.
But with that, it brings us to the end of another GameZone match. So from Ryan, from Richard, from Jacob, from James, we'll see you next time. And remember, Ryu is an arsehole.
Oh.